Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. There's some big updates coming to respawning and the medical gameplay in 4.3.1. So, to accompany this, CIG has posted an updated medical gameplay design brief. So in this video, I want to go over this new information about the medical gameplay, and at the end of the video, I will kind of give you guys my opinions about some of the stuff that is proposed to be coming to the game. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So first things off is we have an introduction here. This is essentially just CIG talking about the medical gameplay that they are continually developing and kind of explaining why some of the things are the way they are. As always, I'll leave this page linked in the video description below so you guys can check it out for yourselves. But yeah, basically they're saying that the development is innovative and there'll be more updates rolled out as time passes. So what is happening to medical gameplay in Alpha 4.3.1 and beyond? While much of medical gameplay is rightly aimed at preventing death, we must still do everything we can to prepare for the worst, while giving you meaningful and strategic options for getting back into the verse as soon as possible post-death. To that end, the following additional changes to medical beds are currently in development. Adding the ability to imprint on multiple med beds at once. This essentially means that right now, when you have an imprint, you transfer them from location to location. So if you set your respawn at your home location, you'll respawn at your home location. If you move that to a space station, it will be moved to that space station. With this new updated proposed change, you'll be able to choose between your home location and a space station wherever you have added an additional imprint. Adding the ability to choose which imprinted medical bed you wish to regenerate at. Basically what I just said. So with the ability to have multiple locations where you can respawn, you need to be able to choose which one you want to respawn at. Adding new conditions which may limit regeneration, such as cooldown timers or regeneration limits before re-registration of an imprint is required. This, in my opinion, would be good for specific locations like Outposts or Stormbreaker, where you don't want players to regenerate at the location constantly, right? But a med bed at a location might not take player consumables for you to regenerate at them. So the best way to prevent constant players regenerating at these locations is to add a cooldown timer. So for instance, Stormbreaker, you go down there and you set your imprint at the med bed, then you get killed, you respawn there. If you get killed again, there might be a 5-minute timer, just like claiming your ship or something like that, right? And this will kind of prevent players from spamming the area and just coming back and the gameplay never ending. So these are all the locations where you can have your imprint stored at: landing zone, ship or vehicle, home base, or temporary location. And the examples here are a bed which is not fall under any of the other categories above, for instance a point of interest like Stormbreaker. Then the next thing is med bed conditions. So in Alpha 4.3.1, med gel requirement was added to medical beds, providing another condition that needs to be met for successful healing and regeneration. So we're going to talk about that as well. So you can see here the condition, you have med gel. Panchea med gel is a resource that was added to medical bed by you for the unit to function. You have auto med gel. The med bed requires med gel to function, but will automatically restock at a set rate. No one can manually restock the unit. Temporary imprint. Your imprint lasts for X amount of time. After imprinting a condition of Y, the time starts before you can imprint there again. Regeneration timer. You may only regenerate at this location once every X time frame. Again, another Example of that is Stormbreaker. UEC fees. The location of this medbed has a set UEC fee for healing and regeneration. An example of this is player bases, player hospitals, player clinics. You can set how much it costs to respawn or heal yourself at that location. Player defined UEC fees. Again, this is basically what I just said. The player owner of this bed can set the fee for healing or regenerating. Permission editable. The owner of this bed can set permissions for who is able to use it. Essentially, if you are in a party, you can use the med bed. But let's say you have a Polaris. There are people who board your Polaris. The people boarding your Polaris won't be in your party. They won't be members of your crew. They will not be able to set their respawn on your ship. So if you kill them, that's it. They're dead. They cannot come back and continue to bother you. Right now, people who board a ship like that, they often go straight to the medical area. That way, if they're killed, they'll respawn on the ship and the fighting will continue. CIG obviously doesn't want that. That is gamified, and CIG wants to kind of clean that up a little bit. So if you board a ship, you will probably more than likely not be able to set your respawn on that ship that you're boarding, and you will have to kind of deal with it because more than likely the players that do own that ship will be able to respawn on that ship, kind of giving defenders a little bit of an upper hand in that scenario, which again is kind of a good thing. You do want it to be difficult to be able to do. Last thing is destructible. The bed can be destroyed, and so the imprints are lost. So if the med bed is destroyed, those imprints are lost. But if you have your imprints, again, you'll have the ability to move your imprints and have them at multiple locations at the same time. So you'll more likely have an imprint at your home location. You'll have an imprint at a station. So if the imprint on your ship is lost, that's kind of not the end of the world, because you'll have other imprints. Okay, medbed permissions. If a med bed is within your ship, vehicle, or base, then you can set permissions limiting who can use it to heal and imprint independently. Only you. It overrides other options. So if you're like kind of a solo player and you want to make sure that this is completely locked down, you can have it only help you. Everyone, if you're like a medical professional, you're rescuing people, friends, party members, and org members. So again, for like an org hospital or clinic, party members, again, for like a capital ship, and friends for, something like a Starlink attack, where you have a specific crew on board your ship. Changes to regeneration interface. So this image here is essentially going to be the new death screen. So right now, when you kind of die, it says you're down or whatever, and you can call for a beacon and whatnot. So you can see here, game chat is still accessible. So you'll be able to see that over here. Incapacitated text and countdown info is moved over here. So you'll be able to see, how long you have before you're dead, before you bleed out or whatever. And then you can set your regeneration location, and you can also kind of minimize it there. So you have the hospital or clinic name, you have the vehicle name if you have that set, you have the base name for an org base or your base, you have a temporary name, again, like Stormbreaker, and then medical rescue. You can essentially have or call a medic to come and pick you up and deploy that. So you see here, regenerate. This is unavailable because, well, base building, you might not have a base or something like that, and it'll say unavailable if you don't have a base set. And then deploy, again, this will send out a medical beacon so a medical professional can come and pick you up. So that could be very interesting. Again, we'll talk a little bit about the cost and the economics of that a little later into videos. So let's keep going. So the different elements, game chat is still accessible. Then you have your regeneration options, which we can see at the bottom. Invalid location, where it says unavailable. This is basically if your location is not valid to regenerate at anymore. Let's say the timer has passed. So again, like Stormbreaker, you already regenerated at that location. There's some kind of cooldown. Regeneration conditions displays any conditions for regeneration the medbed may have. Deploy beacon, which you could see deploy right there. So initiates the flow of deploying a rescue beacon, and then minimize so you can kind of move this out of your way. But now let's go over to the medical gameplay design brief and take a look at what this gameplay flow is actually going to entail. All right, so here's the full design brief. So first they talk about injuries. And of course, this is something that we already know. You have your tier of injury. Tier 3 is the lowest tier. So this is kind of a minor injury. Then you have tier 2. This is a moderate injury. And then of course you have a tier 1, which is a severe injury. And you'll need different tiers of medical beds to fix these injuries. Then you have on-site treatments, med pens, multi-tool, cure life. And you can see the different things there. Tools of the trade, we kind of already know these things. This is what we're using right now. And you have stabilization here. You have blood drug level. Obviously, you start to get a little bit queasy if you taking too many medical things. And using the cure life tool, you can do this manually. You can kind of have it automatically done. And then you have all the drugs, right? You have hemazole and the different things. This kind of stops the bleeding. This is kind of like a universal med pen. So an important thing to notice and read about here is triggering a rescue beacon, aka medical beacons, will create a beacon mission found in the contracts manager and sent out a notification to the HUDs of any nearby players. This payout for the rescue will automatically be set to 15,000 aUEC reward, which will be paid out upon the rescue retrieval of the incapacitated player. Okay, so accepting these missions, on-site treatments, yada yada yada. So the payouts 15,000, right? So that's not a lot, and we'll talk about that as we keep going. So they're talking about medical beds here, tier 3, 2, and 1. Again, tier 1 is the highest, most severe injury. Tier 3 is more common. And then we get into MedGel. This is kind of the new feature that's being added with 4.3.1. MedGel is the substance at the core of medical gameplay that fuels everything from the limited healing capacities of the multi-tool to the medical bed that bring people back to life. It's recommended to keep smaller ones on your person and larger supplies in the storage of your medical bed equipped vehicle at all times. For the multi-tool and cure life medical tool, reloading works in much the same way as any other handheld weapon. For medical beds, inserting a full-size canister via port will reload the device. Within some vehicles, ports are found on the walls nearby the medical bed rather than the unit itself. MedGel canisters are consumed completely by the unit and do not have to be removed before reloading. Each tier of medical bed has a different MedGel capacity. Tier 3 med beds can hold 100 CSU of MedGel. Tier 2 can hold 200 and Tier 1 can hold 400. So your Tier 1 medical bed can hold significantly more than the Tier 3. As noted above, additional quantities of MedGel can be stored in traditional cargo and storage locations aboard ships and vehicles. So even though the med bed, even though a Tier 3 med bed can only hold 100 of MedGel, 100 CSU of MedGel, you can have full canisters stored in the storage of your ship. And for instance, you have a ship with a Tier 3 med bed, you have a canister in there, you use the consumable, you can then go into your ship storage and put a new canister in there after you've respawned, just in case you die again. So it is limited, but only to the amount of MedGel that you have aboard your ship at one time. So this is the med gel canister, this blue thing here, and you can see the bed here. I believe this is a tier 3 med bed, and the slots on the side here is where the canister is going to go in. We have an animation of that right here. The canisters are being inserted to the side of the medical bed. But there are some med ships that have these slots at the terminal, right? So think the Pisces are. These slots will be at the terminal, but for ships like the Cutlass Red, it will have these on the side of the med bed. So different med beds will kind of do this differently. So healing injuries with a medical bed. Each med bed can restore health and address bleeding without cost, but consumes med gel to heal the injuries. The cost of recovering health and healing the injuries is 50 CSU. So up here we saw that the tier 3 med bed can hold 100 CSU. And to heal, it's going to cost 50. So you could heal yourself twice in this med bed, and you can regenerate once. So if you have healed at this medical bed already, you will not be able to respawn at that medical bed, right? So the question is, I don't know if you can take that spent container out and put in a fresh one in case you die, or if you just won't be able to respawn there. So that is going to be an interesting thing I think players are going to have to test out. Imprinting and regenerating on a medical bed. The medical bed has been destroyed. The medical bed supply of med gel has been exhausted, or the medical bed is outside of its effective range. So you have a tier 3 has a range of 50,000 meters. A tier 2 has a range of 8 million meters, and a tier 1 has a range of 150 million meters. So a tier 1 med bed has a far greater range to regenerate at than a tier 3 bed. But again, I would say that because you see a lot of these tier 3 beds in smaller rescue ships like the Nursa Rover and the Pisces, these are going to be like rapid response vehicles. Then we have ships of the trade. We can see this new image of the Apollo Medevac. Obviously, this is going to be your mainline rapid response medical ship. Then we have the Anvil Terrapin Medic, the Drake Cutlass Red, the Pisces R, and the Ursa Medevac. But we also have different medical ships that are not rapid response medical ships, they just have medbay areas like the Idris, the Polaris, the Starless Attack, and the Carrack. And of course, we'll be getting other ships with medbays eventually as well. So we have clinics and hospitals as well. That's not going to change. You'll still be able to regenerate at these locations free of charge, which is a good thing. But of course, there'll be a cost with how much time it will take to go back to the location that you died at and get your gear back and do certain things. So there is still a lot that is coming to change with that as well. So these are the med gel canisters for the med beds. According to Evo Cardi, right now you can only purchase these. So you essentially buy these at clinics or hospitals, and then you can insert them into your ships, right? And of course, the cost to regenerate is 100,000 UEC. So each one of these canisters costs 100,000 aUEC. And I would say because of the way they work, it makes more sense to put them in a tier 1 medical bed, because you'll get 4 respawns out of the same canister, right? If you put this canister in a tier 1 in a tier 3 med bed, you only get 1 respawn out of the same canister. So again, it's 100,000 aUEC to buy 1 canister of med gel. If you put that canister in a tier 3 bed, you get 1 respawn because I guess it's the efficiency of the med bed. A tier 1 med bed is more efficient, so it can do more with the same amount of med gel as a tier 3 bed that I guess has less technology. I don't really know. But if you put that med gel container in a tier 1 med bed, you will get 4 respawns out of the same thing. So really, I think kind of the problem with that system is that nobody's going to want to use a tier 3 med bed, right? A tier 1 med bed is going to be able to do everything that a tier 2 and 3 can do, but it's more efficient. It's better. There's really no trade-offs there that need to be considered. Just use a tier 1 med bed and you'll get the best results. So I think that the next part I want to talk about is the first responder situation. People who kind of help other players, right? Because the medical beacon payout is 15,000 aUEC. But one of these containers costs 100,000 aUEC. To heal somebody with one of these containers technically costs 50% of the container, right? So if you have a Pisces R and you put med gel in it, that's going to cost you 100,000 aUEC for that container. And you're going to be able to heal twice, because to heal in that med bed is going to cost you 50 CSCU. So you can heal twice. So the cost to heal another player costs you 50,000 aUEC, basically. And you can heal 2 people, but it pays you 15,000 aUEC. So I think that that's broken, obviously. Because you're losing money every time you go out there to help somebody. I think CIG needs to greatly reduce the cost of healing, right? It costs way too much to heal. I think they should make it, 10K. So if you have a container that costs 100K, to heal in that med bed, you have 10 heals, right? That would cost 10K each. And then if you go out to heal somebody, you're essentially making 5K in profit. And that gets extrapolated out the more people that you help. It's not the most amount of money. You can obviously do other content in the game and make way more money in that a lot easier. So if CIG increases the payout for the medical beacon, I think this will be kind of better for medical professionals. So you reduce the cost to heal to 10K. So you have 10 heals per container, per canister. And you increase the payment from 15K to 25K. So a medical professional going out to rescue someone now makes 15K of profit for each person that they help. And that is kind of more in line with a baseline mission, right? Obviously, you can't expect it to have the same payouts depending on the condition, right? So you can extrapolate that even more and say, if you have a tier 3 injury, it will cost, you will get paid 25K. If you have a tier 2 injury patient, you will get 30K. And if you have a tier 1 injury patient, somebody who needs to respawn, you will be paid 40K, right? So you'll use 10K worth of materials and you'll be paid 40K. So you'll make 30K in profit. And CIG can stretch that out to, the question is, when you place that medical beacon, who pays for that? Right now, the game, I believe there is also talk of the guild paying that, but you can have, players purchase insurance, right? So when you go to your home location, your landing zone location. You can put money into a account into your regeneration. When you go and you set that stuff, you go and to the screen, and you can essentially say that, okay, you have a fee racking up, something like that. You have a monthly installment or payment. So you can pay into this insurance, and essentially what that means is that when you put money into that account, you will get, additional perks. So that's one option, right? To kind of give players the ability to have, I guess, priority response, right? And if you don't do that, if you don't have a medical insurance policy, right, you can still do a medical beacon, but you'll have to pay at, whatever situation arises. So let's say you're, in a cave and you're fighting bad people and you get encapped, and you place a medical beacon. It'll just ask you to pay for it, and when that person, saves you or whatever, the person will get paid. Just a suggestion, just an idea. I honestly want to know what you guys think about this. I think from an economic standpoint, there's still a lot that CIG can do here. The biggest takeaway, in my personal opinion, is that the cost to heal is too high. And a lot of people are saying the cost to the canisters is a little bit too high. I think realistically, CIG could lower that cost down to 50K. But ultimately, I think it's kind of a good thing, so players aren't constantly respawning. But again, I really want to know what you guys think about this. This is being hotly debated right now with the players, and we'll see what it's actually going to be like when 4.3.1 actually comes out. But I'm glad that CIG posted this kind of update to what this is going to look like. And yeah, but that's going to be it for me in this video, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me again, supporting the videos. I really appreciate it. And like I always say at the end of these videos, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.